One of my most anticipated games this year is Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD-2D Remake. And once again, Square invited me to try this one out early. Shoutouts to Square, I am super excited about this. But this preview was freaking brutal. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of retro games with a major dose of RPGs and nostalgia, then why don't you invite that subscribe button to the most beautiful HD 2D land that you've ever seen, only to crush its spirits. Also, don't forget to hit like and that notification bell. All right, let's get into it. If you're not familiar with the Erdrick trilogy, Dragon Quest 1 and 2, while mechanically older, are chronologically after the events of Dragon Quest 3. Hence, Square dropping that bad boy first. And look, I have to say this. Go check out my video on Dragon Quest 3 HD-2D Remake if you haven't already played it and you're interested. Or maybe just watch it because it's fun. In Dragon Quest 1, a new enemy has arisen, the Dragon Lord, who releases hordes of monsters on the realm once more. And the descendant of Erdrick is led by a mysterious voice to Tantegil, where his adventure begins to take up the mantle of his ancestor and save the world again! But this time, you don't hire a bunch of epic friends to go with you. This guy might as well be the descendant of Hans, because you go solo. This actually makes it pretty challenging. You can, of course, play on an easier mode, but in the previews, we got to go straight to old Robin Hood, a descendant of one of the most hilarious villainous characters from 3. And before I get into how the battle went, I just have to say the voice acting is absolutely hilarious. They were over here using a Cockney accent with Old English, like, "What is thy purpose here, sir?"
Hey? Who art thou? State thy business.
Hast thou come here looking to pinch our treasure? Huh? Thou seekest the key that was stolen? My blinking key?
And I was dying. It added such a high level of charm to an already charming game in the series that I just had a grin the entire time I was playing it. But that grin was wiped off my face when I actually battled these guys. It was 3 against 1, and it was not easy. To be fair, I was warned that this preview would be a challenge for both of the games, and these guys hit harder than old grinder Brandon is used to. By this point in the game, I'll probably be 20 hours in and sneeze at these guys will die. But there was an evade move that you could use, and it went a long way with this one, and I stayed healed up, and eventually I took him down. To which I got the joy of hearing more Cockney Old English.
Enough! Enough! I surrender! Thou hast clobbered me fair and square, but thou wilt spare me, wilt thou not? I swear upon my soul to mend my wicked ways. Say thou wilt, please!
You serious?
This section was relatively short and straightforward, but the charm, the performance, the HD 2D design is so well done in these games. These games are downright beautiful, and while I think there will be a bit of a challenge here, given these games used to expect grinding, this was a great time. And the exciting thing is they've added new encounters with fairies and dwarves that weren't in the original game that are going to enhance the story as well. So I'm super pumped for this one. But then I was moved over to Dragon Quest 2, and here I thought Dragon Quest 1 was a challenge, but I was not prepared for the Dragon Quest 2 preview. From what I've come to understand, I think Yunalesca was the only one who actually beat it, so shoutouts to Yuna. But the rest of us were not prepared for this. Now, if you've never played Dragon Quest II, this game continues into the future with more descendants of the heroes from both 3 and 1, including the main hero, the Prince of Middenhall, the Prince and Princess of Cannock, with the princess being a new addition to the remake, and the Princess of Moonbrook. All these kingdoms were founded by the descendants of the hero Erdrick and are known as the 3 Great Kingdoms. Once again, the realm is plunged into darkness, and the descendants of the Erdrick line step up and do some heroing. They've included a number of new villages and towns with new events in this game as well, so we're getting this expanded definitive version of the game. Now, to the preview, or the gauntlet. We had the opportunity to take a ship to the lighthouse dungeon, and first, again, it looks stunning. Like, this is some of the best HD-2D design I've seen come out of Square Enix so far, and that's not to say anything bad about the other HD-2D games they've come out with. It just looks so clean. But that beauty quickly gave way to the realization that I was completely underleveled and without resources. The challenge? Get to the top of this maze of a tower and fight the boss. Now, I made the mistake of assuming I could just take on all of the enemies and I would level up on the way up and it would be fine, but boy was I wrong. Now, one thing I'll also say here is that you can run into a ton of mimics in the tower, so you have to use a skill to determine whether or not it's an actual treasure chest or a mimic, because in this preview, if I ran into a mimic, I was dead. I went up a tower and took a chance on the left side, where I quickly learned I was wrong. So by that point, I needed to flee the dungeon because I was running out of MP fast. I needed to get to a town, heal up, and buy a bunch of herbs for extra healing support. Now, I knew which way to go this time, so I went up, ran from all of the enemies, and sometimes got caught by them. I wasn't able to run, and they just totally kicked my butt. But I almost reached the top, and I was told my time was up. I know I was almost there, and the dude helping you in the dungeon is totally gonna be the boss, and I will have my revenge. Anyway, these games are going to be super fun, and this preview whet my appetite and spoke to my inner rebel by challenging me to step it up, and I will. What really stood out to me with this is that Dragon Quest 1 and 2 are going to be pretty unique experiences. We don't often play a JRPG like Dragon Quest 1 anymore, where we have one protagonist going through and having to fight things, and that's going to make you lean into a lot of the more supportive skills that he's going to learn. You're going to need to dodge, and of course, you're probably going to need to grind. Whereas Dragon Quest 2, because of the added princess, you're going to have a full 4-party setup, and it's going to be a bit more traditional, but I think this game's still going to be pretty hard and require a little bit of grinding. But with all of the added additions, I am super excited to see how these turn out, and I think they're going to be an absolutely great time. Cool thing here too is if you have data from Dragon Quest 3, you're going to get some goodies in this game as well. So check that one out if you haven't. Anyway, what do you think about this game? Are you excited? Let me know in the comments if you're going to pick this one up, and I have more to come on all of this good stuff. Thank you again, Square Enix, for bringing me on to try this one out. Seriously, this is so exciting, and if you haven't already seen my previews for Octopath Traveler 0 and Final Fantasy Tactics: The Ivalice Chronicles, make sure to check those out as well. And with that, I'll see you in the next one.